Hey, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ryan Zimmermas. I'm the Lead Economic Recovery Program Manager at DED. I am super excited for our session this afternoon. We've got a great special guest here with us today and a great topic. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. First, I'd like to welcome our guest today, Daisy Coyle. Daisy, can you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Ryan. Hello. Thank you, everyone, for watching. My name is Daisy Coyle. I am the Program Manager for the Small Business Support Grant and the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Grant Program.
Thanks, Daisy. And that's a great segue to our topic for today, which is the Small Business Support Grant Program. So I'm really excited to talk about this. I know that we've had a lot of interest in this program. We've also had a lot of questions about what the process looks like. So I'm hoping that throughout the course of today, we can go through, kind of break down what that process looks like, and folks will leave here with a better understanding of kind of what the next steps are.
Of course.
But with that being said, if at any point anything's unclear or you have any questions, burning questions that you'd like to ask, we encourage you to leave those in the chat if you're watching live. If you're watching this recorded after the fact, you're always welcome to reach out to any of our team members, but especially Daisy if you have questions about the Small Business Support Grant Program. And we'll make sure to get to any questions at the end of the session. Any that we don't answer, we'll add to our frequently asked questions document, which is on our website. So we're going to go ahead and get started. First of all, just to kind of set the stage, Daisy, can you break down for us a little bit about the program? What is the Small Business Support Grant Program under the North and South Omaha Recovery Grant Program?
Of course, Ryan, that's a great question. So the small business and entrepreneurship play a vital role in the thriving economy in Nebraska. So the needs presented by the COVID-19 pandemic have imposed substantial repercussions upon the small business entity in the North and South Omaha communities. So for this funding category, there are 4 important steps that all eligible applicants should keep in mind. So let me break it down. So the step number 1 should be all the beneficiaries must be listed in the coordination plan, also known as the Awesome Plan. The step number 2 will be that all these entities should be located in an Economic Recovery Act area or in the QCT area as well within the city metropolitan class. The step 3 will be for the beneficiaries. They must be a for-profit entity registered in the state of Nebraska. And the step 4, finally, will be for all these small business to meet the definition as a small business for the SBA, Small Business Administration.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a great overview. Let's dive into each of these one at a time and really break it down. So we've got pulled up right now our website, the North and South Omaha Recovery Grant Program website. This is located at opportunity.nebraska.gov. And the first thing that you mentioned, Daisy, is that small businesses have to be located or listed in the coordination plan or appendices, which a lot of folks refer to as the Olson Plan.
Correct.
So if we're on our website, where do we go to find out who is in that plan?
Yes, so we initially going to go to the NDED webpage once we are there. So let's walk a little bit back. So we
Sure.
can go
We'll
to
start at
programs. Yes. So we're going to click on programs. Once we're there, we're going to click on economic recovery. And we're just going to scroll down a little bit, and we are going to go to the North and South Omaha Recovery Grant Program. And right there, if we look into all the information that is on the website, we can find a copy of the plan, just clicking on that link. And right there, it will take us to all the coordination plan and appendices where they can look for their name or for the project number.
Perfect. So there's the coordination plan, this first kind of area on the legislature's website. The appendices are listed here. If you're not familiar with the appendices already, Appendix G is a great resource. It lists all of the application summaries from 2 to 370 or however many there were. So
Right.
You're basically saying essentially that in order to be eligible for a small business grant in this category, or really in any of the North and South Omaha Recovery Grant
Correct.
Program, you have to be listed somewhere in one of these appendices. And so that's kind of the starting point. The second thing you mentioned is that a small business has to be in an economic redevelopment area or
Right.
a QCT. So where can I find out where those areas are
Thank you
located?
for the correction. I think I mentioned it wrong at the beginning.
No, I think I said it wrong, so I always get mixed up
One
with
of the
ERA.
other.
But yes, lots of acronyms.
Yes, so we're just gonna go back to the same web page, and right there we're gonna have the map. We have beautiful colors. I'm sorry that you cannot see them, but so we are gonna have the ERA areas, the QCT areas combined, and all those areas that are eligible.
Perfect. And so if you're not sure if your business is located in one of these areas, you can just use this search feature up here, type in your address. It'll take you right to the zoomed in on the area, and you can tell pretty easily if you're in a QCT or an ERA. So you also mentioned businesses have to be for-profit businesses, right? So this
Correct.
is obviously not around for nonprofits or cities or other entities.
In the state of Nebraska.
Exactly.
Correct.
Perfect. And then the last point you mentioned is that a small business must meet the definition of a small business as defined by the SBA.
Right.
So what is that definition? Where do I go to find that definition?
Good question. So again, our best friend here is gonna be the website that we have for this program. So we are going to open the program manual that we can find scrolling down the web page. Right there, North and South Omaha Recovery Grant Program Manual. And we can just go to 3.32, which is the eligibility section for all the programs. And right there, we can find all the points that we just mentioned and a link that will direct you to where or what is the small business definition for the SBA.
Perfect. So that definition is here. And just as a note, it's a pretty expansive definition. A number of companies across the state of Nebraska
Right.
meet that definition of a small business. So this is really a very inclusive program. Next thing that I want to talk about, you mentioned at the beginning, Daisy, that you are the program manager for small business support grants as well as the entrepreneurship and innovation grants.
Correct.
One of the questions I've heard a lot from folks is, how do I know if I fit under the small business category or the entrepreneurship category? And there seems to be some confusion around which category is for small businesses and what's the difference between the two. So can you break down for us just high level what the difference is between the small business support grant category and then the entrepreneurship and innovation category?
Sure. So the main difference between these two programs is that the small business support grant directly benefit for-profit beneficiaries that are looking to grow in their business. And the entrepreneurship and innovation program is basically for those organizations that are supporting the small entities or small entrepreneurs with their business. They can be CDFIs or incubators, technical assistance that we'll need for those small entities.
Perfect. So really the difference is, are the entities that are applying receiving assistance directly from DED to benefit their business, or are they organizations whose mission is to support businesses, and will they be passing those funds through to
Correct.
potentially a business in the form of a loan or grant or technical assistance?
Exactly. Yeah.
Perfect.
You couldn't have said it better.
Perfect. So that, I think, hopefully clarifies the difference between the Small Business Support Grant Program, which we're talking about today, and Entrepreneurship and Innovation, which will be a different topic another day.
Yes, I just want to clarify here and added it that a small business or direct business are not kind of allowed to apply for the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program since they are not qualified for being a direct beneficiary.
Right. So if you're looking to receive funds directly to support your business, Entrepreneurship and Innovation is not the round for you.
Right.
You're in the right place right now at the Small Business
business.
Support Grant application workshop. So this is perfect. So probably the second most frequently asked question that I've gotten about the Small Business Support Grant Program is, how do I apply? What does the process look like? I know that we've already reached out to a number of small businesses and conducted interviews, but I think that folks that are at different points in that process aren't always aware of what that process looks like and what's coming next.
Yes.
So if I want to learn more about the process for the Small Business Support Grant Program, where do I go on our website, or how can I learn more about that?
Yes, so that's a really good point, and this is premium news. So we have a new flow chart that we already upload in the information for the small business support grant. So right there where you are, Ryan, instead of all the apply now button that we have for other programs, what we have for the small business support grant is the learn more, sorry. Once we are there, it will be it will display the flow chart where everybody can see where are they standing in the program and what will be the next steps once they complete the interview, or what do they have to do after that step.
Perfect. So yeah, a common question is, where's the apply button, right? There is no apply button. So if you haven't been able to find it, it's because it doesn't exist. Instead, we have a learn more button, and we're going to talk about and go through that flow chart that Daisy's talking about right now. So if we click learn more, that brings up this Small Business Support Grant Program flowchart. Again, we just added this to the website about a week ago. I think it's really helpful as a resource to understand what the process looks like. And we're going to go through this with everyone live right now so that we have an understanding, hopefully at the end of this, of how this process works. So we'll start right here at the top, and I think we've already kind of hit on these first few points here, right? So is your project listed in the coordination plan or appendices? Is it located in Omaha? And is it located in an ERA or QCT?
Correct.
So that's the baseline eligibility in order to be eligible for any of the NSORG grants, including the small business support grants. If you can answer yes to all of those questions, right, we can then move on to this next part of the small business support grant process. So let's look at the first one. I think we've hit on this one as well. Is your organization registered as a for-profit entity in the Nebraska and with the IRS? What is this asking us about here?
Yes, so basically what we asking for all the entities is just to tell us if they are already registered in the state of Nebraska, and the way to do that is just to the Secretary of State, and also if they have an EIN number.
Perfect. Yeah. So if you are a small business, maybe you've already had an interview with us and you're interested in this program and you're kind of waiting for next steps. If you're not already registered with the Nebraska Secretary of State, get over there right now and make sure that you get registered, because that's going to be a baseline requirement in order to be able to receive a grant.
Right.
So assuming that you're already at that point, we can move on to the next step here. Is the proposed project you're applying for submitted in any of the other categories? And this is a really good question as well. I think I've talked to a number of different potential applicants who've asked, can I apply for a different round like placemaking in addition to small business, and how does that work? So what's the kind of rule of thumb with applying for multiple categories?
Yes, so I think we're going to talk about this a little bit later on, but just to give a general idea, all the applicants that wish to be in the small business support grant, they need to have an interview, just because that's the process. And once they complete that interview, we're going to send an offer letter. And again, we're going to talk about this a little bit more, but I'm just giving an idea. We're going to send an offer letter, and if that offer letter is accepted by the applicant or beneficiary in this case, you are locked in our program, which means that you are not going to be able to apply to any other program or categories for the NSORG program. If you decide that your project is going to be only in the small business support grant, good, we can just move forward. But if you're still questioning where should I go, you need to remember or remind yourself that if you're applying for another category, you know will be able to apply or this program or for any other program. So what this means is that if your project is, or you're thinking for your project to apply to other programs, you should choose only one program, sorry.
Perfect. Yeah. So that's a really great point. If you're on the fence between, say, placemaking and the small business category, or
good example.
Yes, for example, you are not locked in until you hit the submit button on a different application. So if you're kind of, on the fence and you're not sure which category to apply under, you're welcome to preview any of the other application rounds, but once you submit an application, you're locked in. If you've had an interview already for the Small Business Support Grant Program, that doesn't lock you into small businesses yet. But once you accept your offer letter, which, as you mentioned, we'll talk about more later, so we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves here. But once you've accepted that offer, you're locked into small business.
Right.
And so it's just something to weigh. If you're on the fence, you'll probably want to make a decision soon about which category you're going to apply under. And which one you're going to be locked in under, so that you're not submitting the same project for multiple different categories. So assuming you've decided small business is the home for me, that's where I'm going to be submitting my application with my project. You'll go through those eligibility criteria that we've talked about, right? Being meeting the definition of a small business as defined by the SBA, being a for-profit in the state of Nebraska, And the other point here that we put is consider obtaining tax credits through the Urban Redevelopment Act. So this is a kind of new element we haven't talked about yet. Why should small businesses that are thinking about applying under the Small Business Support Grant category, why should they consider the Urban Redevelopment Act program?
Yes, so I guess you know more a little bit about this. So if you can tell us a little bit more why they need to at least considering applying for this program.
Yeah, so the Urban Redevelopment Act, the URA, is a tax credit program for small businesses that make investments in ERAs in North and South Omaha. Obviously, we've talked about the fact that you have to be in a QCT or
Yes.
ERA to qualify for this program. So before you accept a grant and start making those investments, I would highly encourage everyone to reach out to our URA staff. We have information about the Urban Redevelopment Act on our website, and Daisy or myself would be happy to redirect you to the appropriate personnel at DED for that. But really great opportunity to kind of understand that program and to get some tax credits while you're also pursuing this grant opportunity.
Correct. Mhm.
So if you've been able to check all the boxes so far, the next step here that we're going to talk about, it says you'll be contacted for the interview process. I am assuming at this point that just about all of our potential applicants have been contacted.
Correct. At least the initial contact, yes.
Okay, perfect. So if you are watching this right now and you have not been contacted by DED for an interview, what should you do?
Yes, so that's a good question. So for all these potential applicants that they consider they should be in the Small Business Support Grant, if you have not been contacted by any person in the DED department, I highly suggest you to contact me so I can do the arrangements to have the interview team to contact you and move as fast as we can, since the interviews, we have a deadline that we're hoping will be the end of this month.
Absolutely. So we're going to be wrapping up at the end of the month. The end of the month is like the end of the week. We're almost at the end of September already. So
Yes.
we want to make sure that if you believe you should have been contacted, you've gone through this first part of our workshop today and you said, yeah, I'm checking all these boxes here. Why have I not been contacted? You need to contact us right away and make sure that we can get you included in the interview process.
Yeah, but why don't we explain a little bit more about why an interview?
Yeah, that's great. We're going to actually talk about interviews next. So this has been a pretty common question we've received. Why are we doing this interview process?
Right.
Why are we not doing this like the other categories where you're submitting an application through our application portal? And the reason for that is actually this is how we do the SBDF program, which is a program that helps businesses across the state of Nebraska at DED. We're really treating the businesses in the North and South Omaha communities the same way that we'd treat any other business, with the same level of dignity and respect. And that includes doing this interview. So it's a really good opportunity for us to learn more about the businesses themselves. I think talking to some of the folks at DED who've done those interviews, they've really enjoyed getting to know about some of the great work that the small businesses in the North and South Omaha communities are doing. But it also is really helpful for small businesses that are trying to run their small business. They're not grant writers, right?
Yeah.
And we don't expect them to be grant writers. We expect them to be business owners.
Right.
So this is really a conversation so that we can gather information. And we'll talk about what we use that information for next. So we'll get there in just a second. But it's a really good way for us to get the information that we need to be able to move through this process in a way that's really accessible to small businesses, but also, like I said, is aligned with how we do this program or different programs with small businesses across the state of Nebraska.
Right.
So let's dig into the process.
I think that we're just too excited that we want to jump into all the information.
It's great. It's hard to not get ahead of it. So let's jump in though. We've been contacted for an interview. That's over here. And we've mentioned already that if you believe you should have been contacted but have not yet heard from us, reach out to us right away. Put down the phone and send us an email, right? Do it right now.
And you can find my information on the website too, in case that, okay, I want to reach out to Daisy. I don't know how to reach out.
Yeah,
So,
let's flip to that right
yes.
now. So right where we were accessing this flowchart,
Right
learn
there.
more. Yep, we have Daisy's information. and her phone number. Go ahead, leave her a voicemail, send her a text right now.
Yes.
When we're done with this, she'll get back to you. We're not going to take your call right now.
I can.
Yeah. All right. So you've been interviewed. The interview process is complete. You'll receive a notification. Am I understanding that correctly?
Correct, yes. But you will receive that notification only until we consider that the interview process has been finalized.
Okay. So if you started your interview and then, had to run and we didn't quite finish it, we won't notify you until it's complete. We'll reach back out to you and make sure that we're getting all the information that we need to move forward.
Correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
That's
Yes.
a great point. Okay. So at that point, and let me just scroll down here, or maybe I'll zoom out a little bit here so we can see the full picture. So we've got, this is kind of what the potential small business applicants here are seeing on the left, this
Correct.
external cycle.
So the green side is going to be what the applicant is in charge of doing or what they need to be up to. And the blue section will be what DED is doing internally.
Okay, perfect. So that's an important distinction to understand. So at this point, you've been notified that the interview process is complete. We're moving over from this external cycle on the left to the internal cycle. So what you're saying, Daisy, is that once this is complete, the ball is in DED's court. It's no longer in the small business's court.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So let's hop over and let's take a peek under the hood here. What is going on at DED once that interview is complete? So the interview is completed. The next step on here is DED will conduct an economic impact analysis. So what are we talking about there?
Yes. So once the interview is finalized, we're just going to send an economic impact analysis to our internal team. So I think it will be important for you to explain us a little bit of what the economic impact analysis is.
Yeah, so I mean, it is kind of what it sounds like. So essentially, we're gathering that information in the interview process to be able to send it to our research team, who's going to be able to run an analysis on those numbers, what kind of investment you're making, what kind of jobs that's going to generate, and so on. And they're going to be able to kind of calculate an economic score for you that our review team will be able to use to determine what kind of investment DED is able to make to receive that economic return that the analysis is showing us. So essentially, it's a good kind of a baseline process that we have to make sure that we're understanding how we can maximize the return on investment for every dollar that we're investing in these businesses.
Correct. So after that economic impact analysis is made, we're going to send that to the project review committee, and just based on what you just say, we will have that information, the committee will review it, and once they review that economic impact analysis, we will be able to provide an offer letter.
Absolutely. And so that's the really exciting part. After you've done your interview, this process all happens internally at DED. You get to sit back for a minute and wait while we're working up through that economic impact analysis, while the review team is running the numbers on that and determining what kind of investment we can make. And once we've determined what kind of investment we can make in that small business, we're sending you an offer letter. So
Right.
That's actually the next step here is an offer letter. And that's going to swing it back into your court. So we'll get there in a second.
So this is like a play team, back and forth.
Yeah, it is. It is. So let me just ask a quick question, though. What happens if somewhere along the line, maybe I should back up. Is it possible that someone won't get an offer letter? So you've done your interview. Is it possible that somewhere along the line in the internal process at DED, we determine that this is not a good fit for this program and we decline to send an offer letter?
Right. So there are going to be two options. Option number one, if the applicant during the process, they realize, I don't want to be in this program. I already did the interview, but I wish not to continue. We're going to send a non-selected letter, or they can just reject the offer if we get to that point. And the other option will be if we conduct the interview, but during that process, we realize that they are not eligible. So in this case, we're going to send as well a non-selected letter, and we will let them know that due to eligibility and the requirements that we have for this program, unfortunately, we can't continue. Yeah, but I don't want them to get worried. It doesn't
Yeah,
mean that
absolutely.
they cannot apply for the small business. There are other 7 remaining categories that they could potentially apply for.
Absolutely. So I think what you said there is important. What we're doing is reviewing your eligibility. Hopefully, by the time that you've got through that interview process, you've been able to kind of understand the eligibility requirements. And through that conversation you're having with our team, we've been able to really suss out whether that is the best fit for your project.
Right.
But if along the way the business decides I don't want to continue on in the process, or if we determine for some reason you're not eligible, that's the only reason that you wouldn't be getting an offer letter. So this
Correct.
is really good news. I just want to kind of put a finger on this for a second, because this basically is saying that everybody who goes through this process, we're hoping to be able to give an offer letter to everybody that goes through this process and qualifies.
Right.
So you can take a deep breath. We're hoping that everyone that comes through this process is going to receive something. Of course, depending on the results of the economic impact analysis, that might be different for different companies. But this is a really exciting thing to know as a small business who's maybe already completed the interview process. You're just kind of sitting back and waiting to get that offer letter, and
Right.
then you're going to find out what kind of grant you're going to receive.
Yes, and also in that non-selected letter, we are going to disclose what was the reason of non-selection, and if the applicants for any reason they don't qualify for the NSORG program, we can still conduct them to other programs that they can apply with the organization.
Absolutely, and that's a really important point too. So, like I said, we're really hoping that most of the businesses that we've talked to are going to be eligible, and that they're going to receive that offer letter. But even if you don't receive an offer letter, or for some reason you don't meet the eligibility criteria, there are a number of really great programs for small businesses at DED, and we really want to use this opportunity to steer you in the right direction. Even outside of the North and South Omaha Recovery Grant Program, there are a number of programs like the Urban Redevelopment Act,
Yes.
and like some of the other incentives that we have for businesses. And our team is really committed to making sure that everybody comes out of this with a win, even if you
Yes.
aren't eligible, that you at least know a little bit more about how to navigate the DED programs
Correct.
and help your business grow.
Right. So I guess, Ryan, now that we're talking about the offer letter, should we just explain why an offer letter?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and really goes back to what we talked about before, which is that this is how we do this program across the state for SBDF. We send an offer letter after doing that economic impact analysis. So again, just maintaining consistency and treating those businesses in North and South Omaha the same that we do all the businesses across the state of Nebraska. And so that offer letter is really the next step. That's how we're getting the ball back into the small businesses court to say, hey, we ran the numbers, we like what we see, and we want to invest in this business. We want to see your business grow, and we'll have a number on there. And so you'll be able to see what that number is. And that's kind of getting over to this next step
Right,
here.
yes.
So you receive an offer letter, and real quick, if you haven't received one, just be patient. If a couple of weeks have gone by and you still
Yes.
haven't, feel free to reach out. We're working on getting our first offer letters out, hopefully within the next week or so.
Or so, yes.
So, okay, we won't make any promises, but we're going really fast. So once you do receive that offer letter, the next step is going to be for the small business. So what is that next step for the small business then?
Yes, so once they receive the offer letter, the next step will be to sign up that letter and send it back to me. And we're just gonna jump into 2 steps right there. So it could be a rejected letter or it could be an acceptance letter. So I guess we can talk about it, right?
Yes.
So let's just talk about 2 potential scenarios. So we're going to have a scenario A where it's a rejected letter. What happens if they decide, I don't want to continue with this program? Nothing happened. The only thing that I'm going to do is just send it a rejected letter saying like, okay, we send this offer and you wish to not to continue. So just the applicant would just sign it, send it back to me. And again, it would just move forward to another program or just look for other options that they may have.
Sure, and I just want to jump in real quick. So if we're talking about if the small business has received an offer letter and they're deciding not to move forward,
Correct,
we're going to
yes.
send them a letter just basically documenting that.
Yes.
The only reason I can think of why someone wouldn't want to accept their offer, I guess there maybe are a
Yeah.
variety of reasons, but if you didn't want to accept your offer, one reason might be because you are deciding to apply in a different category. So
Correct.
kind of to go back to a point we talked about earlier in the conversation, you're not locked in until you sign that acceptance letter. If you get to the point where you've got that offer letter in front of you and you say, you know what, I actually think I'm going to apply under placemaking or youth talent and workforce development or some other category, that's fine. You can still do it at that point. But once you've signed that offer letter, you're locked in.
Right. That's why I'm giving them the option to reject it. And we want to have a paper trail of what's
Absolutely.
happening with that program or with that applicant. So the best way to do it is with that rejection letter. So we talk about the scenario A. So scenario B will be them accepting the letter, the offer letter. So with that being said, it means that once the applicant accepts that letter, they are locked in. So they are not going to be able to apply to any other category. And with that, I guess we're jumping into what are they going to do?
Yes. So break it
Yes.
down for us. How do I actually accept it? Hopefully, most of the folks that are receiving an offer letter are going to accept it. They're going to be excited to receive an offer. So if I'm in the seat where I've got that offer letter now in front of me, what do I do to actually formally accept that offer and start receiving the money?
Correct. So once they receive the offer letter, you are just going to sign it, send it back to me, I guess, as soon as you can. And once I receive that offer letter, I will send a direct link to apply on Amplifon for this program or for this category.
Okay, so that's kind of this next point here, and this is the end of the chart here, the flow
Correct.
chart. But the next step will be to accept the grant on Amplifund, which raises the question, what is Amplifund?
Correct. Yes, I was going to ask you that.
Okay, so Amplifund is our grant management portal. So once you've gotten to the point where you've accepted your letter, you've sent that back to Daisy, Daisy is going to actually send you a link for the application portal. So don't go back to the website and look for the Apply Now button. Again, we don't have an Apply Now button for the Small Business Support Grant Program because we're doing things a little bit differently than the other programs with that interview process. So once you've accepted your offer letter that you've received by email from Daisy,
Correct.
Daisy will send you the link to the application.
Directly. So it's going to be a single link, send it directly to your account.
Absolutely. And so we're going to kind of preview a few parts of that application today, or not the application, but I guess we call it an application, but really it's a portal where you're accepting that offer letter. So I just want
Correct.
to clarify with everyone, we're not asking you to apply again and again and again and again. Once
Yeah,
you receive
no.
that offer letter, you're good to
You're
go.
in.
Yes, you're in. You can breathe. You'll be going through the grant portal so that we can get you into the system and start paying out the grant to you so you can start growing your business.
Right.
So to help you kind of prepare for accepting your letter, we wanted to bring up, this is an unpublished copy of the portal.
Premium
So
information.
this is a sneak peek, everyone. This is what we're talking about. So this is not published yet. Once we start sending out those offer letters and those offer letters start getting accepted, this will be published. And you'll be getting the link again directly from Daisy to this portal. But we wanted to kind of walk through what you can expect to have to provide in this portal so that if you want to get ahead of the game and really start gathering any information you need, it should be pretty easy.
Right.
But we want to give you a heads up on what you can start doing now while you're still waiting for that offer letter to come.
Okay, so just to clarify one more time, you're not going to receive this link until you sign the letter. Because I guess there are probably going to be some questions like, where can I find this?
Yes.
So again, you're not going to be able to find it anywhere until I send it to your email once the offer letter has been
Yes,
signed.
you don't have to find the link will find you.
There you go.
So once the link finds you, right, you'll go ahead and create an account on Amplifund. We've previewed how to do that in other videos, but it's a really straightforward process. You just click register, and then you can go ahead and click apply. Again, it says apply. You're not really applying, right? This is accepting a grant,
Yes.
and so don't let the language scare you. You'll go ahead and type in an application name. And I need to type in a new one, a new name, new test. Here we go. So what should I put under the award requested? How do I know what to request?
Right, and thank you for mentioning that. So the award request that the applicant is going to add here is going to be the amount that was offered in the offer letter.
Okay.
The same exact
So I'll go
amount.
back to that offer letter and I'll look for that amount. And let's say I'm going to get $900 million. We'll just throw in a giant number, no one's going to get it actually says the maximum is 10 million. So
Correct.
it'll also let you know that no one is going to get more than $10 million for their business.
But hopefully, the applicant will do their diligence and will just add the amount that was offered.
Yes.
Because
So
we don't want to submit an application and reopen it again because of this reason.
yes, absolutely. So please make sure you're requesting exactly what it says in that offer letter, not a dollar more or less. Hopefully,
Yes.
hit the number right on the head. So once you type that in, you'll enter some basic information here, and you'll be able to click Save at the bottom. You can also mark this as complete. This is an important step. It won't let you submit the application until you've marked everything as complete. So make sure you mark it as complete, and then you can save and continue. And then you're going to see a couple of different forms. So there's 5 different parts. This looks like a lot. It's really not too much. So let's just start at part 1 and hit on a few key points
Yes.
that maybe people can start preparing for.
Yeah, so I think the major information that we want here is just like this basic first portion of the application will be just to write your name, the name of your organization, the Secretary of State number,
Yep.
and EIN, and so on. So I think this is basically information that we need from your business. And here, the most important part is that, as we mentioned, this is only for-profit organizations. So the public and nonprofit entities are not going to be available to continue if they select this option.
Perfect. So assuming that you've gotten this far in the process, you're probably a private entity. You'll select private entity here. Once you do that, it's going to ask for a couple of different documents. So this is a really good, some steps that you can start taking to prepare, knowing that you're going to need to submit this eventually, start getting your files in order. Can you walk us through just a couple of the different documents that we're going to be requesting as part of our due diligence?
Right. So we have all the uploads here, as the name says. So we're going to be asking for the current copy of articles of incorporation and their bylaws and income statement for the last 3 years for each organization, and Secretary of State number and certificate of good standing, and so on.
Perfect. So you'll go ahead and upload all of those. Again, this is a great opportunity right now to start getting these files in order so that when you do get that offer letter, you're ready to accept it in the portal here. You're able to just really easily navigate and locate those documents.
Yes, and this information that we're requesting is not really hard to find, per
Right.
se. So at this point, each applicant should be able to find it really easily.
Absolutely. I'm going to jump over to part 3, the
Right,
threshold
yes.
question next. So the first thing that I see here is the applicant is required to submit the offer letter. So we've been talking a lot about the offer letter.
Yes.
That's going to be signed by the applicant. They upload that right here.
Right, the signed offer letter, correct.
Perfect. So when you send that over to Daisy, save a copy for your own records. You're going to be asked to provide that again once you are officially accepting the grant in the portal here. What other information are we asking folks to provide in this threshold review section?
Basically information about their business and what they're intending to do with the grant, and how we can just have to know them a little bit more. Even though they already did the interview, just have few questions to keep it in track with the Amplifon platform.
Perfect. Yeah, and actually a really streamlined way to do this. You've already, if you're going through this process, you've already submitted a proposal for your business, for your project in the coordination plan and appendices. So we actually already have that data.
Correct,
And we
yes.
really wanted to make this
As simple as possible.
Absolutely. And so let's walk through real quick how I can get this coordination plan and appendices data from DED and work through that to be able to upload it here. So we've got a couple links here to the legislature website. Again, we've talked about that. There's also a link here to the North and South Omaha Recovery Grant Program webpage. The reason for that is if we scroll down past the map and past the application tiles here, you'll see this form that says Coordination Plan and Appendices Data Request Form. So what is the purpose of this form, Daisy?
Yes, so what we want with this form is just to kind of subtract the information that all the applicants sent in the original proposal. And since that proposal probably has been sent a while ago. We just want to know if they still have the same project, if there are things that have changed. So with them requesting this information, they're going to be able to see all the information that they provide originally in a beautiful Excel sheet.
Yes, it will be absolutely beautiful. So you just have to put in your first and last name, your email, your phone number, the name of your business, and then your proposal name and ID. If you're not sure what your proposal name was from the coordination plan and appendices, there's a link again here to the legislature's website so you can locate that. Same thing with the ID number. The ID number is just going to be in Appendix G under all application summaries. So you can see if you're number 2 or number 3 or number 6. So you'll figure out what the name of your proposal was and what your ID number was. Plug that in this form here and click submit. And within one business day, someone on our team will respond to you with that beautiful Excel document
Right.
that has all of your original submissions, all of your original answers that you provided in the coordination plan and appendices. We don't want you to have to reinvent the wheel. That being said, it's been about a year since that original process. So if anything has changed, you're going to get this Excel file.
Yes.
How can folks indicate if things have changed within that Excel document?
Right. So once they get the Excel, they are just going to look into the information that is into that Excel. And if something has changed, we request for those applicants to just highlight those changes. So when I review it, I will see, okay, this is the change that they want us to review, and just save the document as revised and send the name of the project. If by any chance, or when you do the diligence and you review the documents, if nothing is highlighted, that means that there are no changes that you want to do in that document.
Perfect. Yep. And so just to kind of reiterate what we've talked about on other workshop episodes, we are okay with folks changing their proposals if they need to update details, but the scope of what you originally submitted really needs to be the same as what you initially submitted in order to meet the eligibility criteria that's set forth in LB 531. So that's why we're asking everyone to do this step, to go to our website, request that data from us, indicate if there's been any changes, and go from there. So the next thing I want to jump to is actually the budget, because I think that the budget module can be a little bit tricky to navigate at first. So keep in mind there's 5 application forms. If you stumble on any other questions in any of those other application forms, that's what Daisy and our team is here for. So please feel free to reach out to us once you're at the point where you've accepted your offer, you're ready to submit that on this portal. Feel free to reach out to us and we'll help walk you through these steps. Again, we know you're not grant writers, so we're trying to streamline this as much as possible.
Yes, but let me just put a note there, Ryan. I want to let the applicants know that the best way that they can contact me will be through email. It will be the best and the fastest. I will reach out on the phone too, but again, for the amount of calls that we have and the amount of things that we need to do, it will be faster and easier through email.
Absolutely. And I'll throw another quick shout out for our office hours in right now. So we've got office hours. Those hours are listed on our website at the very bottom in our North and South Omaha offices. So if you're at the point where you're accepting your offer in that application portal and you need some technical assistance, feel free to drop in at any point in our North and South Omaha offices. Those office hours will continue until further notice, and the whole reason for having those is to be able to provide support through this process.
Correct. Yeah.
So don't be a stranger. So I do want to hit on the budget because, like I said, I think this can be a little bit tricky. I just want to do a quick tutorial here of how to create a budget, right? For your grant. So when you get to the budget module here, you're going to see a couple of different categories. What do I do here to start requesting funds under each category?
Yes. So what we asking basically is for each of these categories to the applicant just to add the amount at the line item that they think should be into these categories. If by any reason, I don't want them to get worried that something has to be for personnel, something has to be for equipment or supplies. If you consider that your project don't need these type of categories, they still are they have the option to create a new one. So just right there where you highlight it. So they can just add the name of that line item and the description of what they are intended to create in that budget.
Perfect. So yeah, using those plus symbols on the left is going to be the way to navigate this. Again, you can create new categories if they don't fit in these other categories here. Once you've created categories that you're happy with, you can click that plus button again, and that will bring up a pop-up here where you can start putting in the line items. And so you can be as detailed as you like here, request however much under each category you're going to need, and you can even include a narrative. That makes it a little bit easier when reviewing expenses on the back end.
Yes.
But again, this is not a competitive application. Once you've received the offer letter, you don't need to stress too much. We just want to have an idea of how you're going to be investing those grant dollars that we're giving you.
Correct.
And that's the purpose of this here. And just as a note, it's going to automatically do the math for you here. So if you're receiving a $10 million grant, it's going to ask for $10 million worth of expenses in those line items. If you're receiving a $50,000 grant, you're going to need to show $50,000 worth of line items. So make sure that your one common error is, if your budget is not balanced, make sure that you're adding enough line items so that it zeroes out, and it'll tell you if you're off on the bottom here.
Correct. Yeah.
All right, so that's really all that we wanted to hit on in the application today. Again, if there are further questions at any point, you're more than welcome to send an email to Daisy, reach out to someone on our team, or to stop in the North and South Omaha office hours. But let's talk about a couple of common frequently asked questions about this, and after this we're going to go to questions from the audience. But I wanted to hit on a couple questions that we've received a lot already.
Yes.
So the probably the number one question, I know we've already talked about
The
this, but where is the application link? How do I apply?
Yes. So as we mentioned it through these this conversation, there is not going to be an apply button. There is not going to be a link for the applicant to directly apply. It's just going to be after the offer letter is signed. And once that letter is signed, I will be sending directly that application link.
Perfect. So don't look for it on the website. Again, it's not there. As I mentioned before, the link will find you.
Yes.
So another common question that we've heard a lot is, okay, I did my interview. I'm really ready to go. I've been waiting for the last year, ever since I submitted my proposal in the coordination plan and appendices. What does this timeline look like? How soon until I get that offer letter?
Yes, so that's a good question. So basically what I have been doing is that I break down the process into groups. So the first group will be to create that interview. The second group will be to creating that economic impact analysis. And last will be the offer letter. So as I mentioned, we are moving as fast as we can. The interviews have been done. We are moving into the process of creating this economic analysis impact, which some organizations already have that impact. So we have lastly this last step, which is just the offer letter. But again, there are a couple pieces that need to be moving together in order to complete that. But we are having it as soon as we can. There are some of them that are already cooking. So yes, we're moving fast.
Yeah, I'll just add to that we are very eager to get the money out the door, probably just as eager as everyone is to receive the grants, right? We know that we're not growing businesses with the funds sitting in our account. So our goal is to make these awards as quickly as possible and get the money working in the community and growing businesses. So we're going to go to some audience questions here. And if you haven't had a chance already and you have a question that we haven't gotten to, feel free to leave a comment in the comments section with your question, and we'll try to get to as many of the questions as we can during the live stream. But any that we don't get to, we will add in the frequently asked questions afterwards. So the first question that we have from the audience is, what is the criteria and scoring per the economic impact analysis? So this is a really good question, and this is probably a little bit outside of my wheelhouse, right? So at the point where the businesses have had that interview, and we've sent that information that was gathered from the interview process to team that is going to be putting together the economic impact analysis, it's kind of out of both of our courts
Yes.
and into our research team that runs this analysis. And they're very experienced doing a lot of different analyses across the state of Nebraska. So I don't know for sure what that analysis looks like, but we can definitely follow up with that question and leave some bullet points in the FAQs
Right.
so that people can understand what goes into that economic impact analysis. That's a really good question.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Are there any other questions? We'll wait for a second here. While we're waiting to see if there's any other questions from the chat, I do want to note that there are already a number of questions that we've answered for all of the different programs, but that includes the Small Business Support Grant Program. So those are located on our website. We have a frequently asked questions document. That's under program resources here. And we update this on a regular basis. Actually, I think the most recent version was just updated today or yesterday. So if you click on that, that will bring up all of our FAQs. Chances are your question's probably already been answered at some
Yes.
point. I think we're up to about 70 questions total. Let me scroll all the way down here. Yep, so we've got 70 questions already, and we just continue to add onto these questions as they come in. So as mentioned, we'll add that question about the economic impact analysis and kind of what goes into that as our next FAQ. And we do try to get these FAQs updated on a weekly or even twice a week
yes.
basis. So do we have any other questions from the audience? I think we do. We're just going to wait for a second here to get that question posted on our screen.
And I guess we did a really good job explaining everything, and we have only one question.
We might have one more. We should have prepared some jokes or something for filling the time
waiting.
in between
I told
questions
you,
that come in.
I told you we should have wear something for Halloween. You didn't want it to follow
Oh
up with
yeah,
that, but
it is almost Halloween, so
Almost,
we
we're
should
almost
have
there.
done costumes or something. Okay, I think we've got our next question up here. Is someone allowed to create a new entity for this grant if the scope is not changing? That's a really good question.
yeah.
So I think what we're asking here is if a business is not already established, can I get a small business support grant to help me establish a new business?
Right. So basically, the intention of this program is for the project to be listed in the coordination plan. If the entity has not been listed in the coordination plan or the appendices, what we can do is either redirect them to other programs where they can wait for that registration to be done, or what do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, so I think that's definitely correct, right? So you have to be listed in the coordination plan or appendices to receive a grant
Right,
from
the
DED
project.
for this exact program. But I do think that the Small Business Support Grant Program is really focused on scaling up businesses.
Correct.
So if we're talking about an entity that does not currently exist, even if the project per se might be listed in the coordination plans, if that business has not been organized as a business yet, it's probably not at the stage where it would be ready to do a small business support grant.
Correct.
There might be some ways for that entrepreneur who has yet to create that business to work through one of the recipients of our entrepreneurship and innovation grants. So one of those small business support organizations like a CDFI or some sort of an organization that can help entrepreneurs. So there could be some other fits there. And again, as we've mentioned, we're more than happy to talk to anyone at any stage of the business, or at any stage of creating their business.
Correct.
To direct them to appropriate resources at DED. But I think for the purpose of the small business support grants, we're really focused on businesses that are already existing and looking to
Yes.
scale.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Yes, and listed in the coordination plan. Yes.
Perfect. I thought that was the case. I just wanted to make sure.
Yes.
So.
We have another question. So how do you update information in your proposal for your interview that directly impacts your analysis? This is a good question. So for those who have already completed the interview, we have sent it, as we mentioned in the process, to the research team. If there are any information that they request that impact or that they cannot complete your analysis, that information will be asked to the applicant. In the case where you want to change information, you can just contact me directly. I would just look into that interview process and contacting the interviewer person and letting them know that you want to change information. So if the impact analysis has not been completed at this point, we can still do something. So I will just highly recommend you to contact me directly to look into that information that you're looking to update.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. We're really basing that economic impact analysis off of a combination of what was submitted in that
Right.
proposal and what is being communicated in that interview process. That's kind of the purpose of the interviews, is to make sure we're getting the most up-to-date information
Correct,
about that
yes.
project. So that should really come out in the interview process. But as Daisy mentioned, if you've completed your interview and you feel like you did not provide the most up-to-date information, please talk to us right away
Yes.
so that we can get that updated as we begin doing those economic impact analyses.
Right?
All right. Do we have any other questions in the chat? If you haven't had a chance to ask a question already, again, feel free to leave that in the chat. I know we're coming up on an hour here, so we're probably going to wrap it up in a minute. If there's no other questions. But if there are questions after the fact, if you're watching this in a recording, again, I'll mention you're welcome to reach out to Daisy
Yes.
or to anyone on our team, and we'd be happy to provide some answers there. If you leave a comment in the chat here after the fact, we will also go through and make sure that we're answering those questions either directly within the chat or on the FAQs, or probably both. So we will definitely make sure we get those answers to you. But I think that is all the questions we have for today.
All right.
So thank you so much. Again, I'm super excited that we got to have this conversation.
Yes,
I'm
me
really
too.
hoping that this cleared up some questions that folks have about the Small Business Support Grant Program. I know that you're super excited about this program as well.
I am.
And we really can't wait to send that first offer letter. We're really hoping it's going to be soon. So
too.
we're just as eager as all of you are. But thank you so much for tuning in, and have a great rest of your afternoon.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan, for having me here.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you.